People often make mistakes when they try to interpret information or understand the behavior by others. But in other cases, they are purposely biased, usually biased towards an outgroup, the other. Now, you can think about it like in race, when you um, prefer your own race to benefit over other races, or um, maybe think about being a Cubs fan and you don't want the St. Louis Cardinals to win. Those are in-group, out-groups. You identify with one group and try to get advance standing of that group compared to other groups. And that is then self-serving because when the group gets better, you get better because you're a member. So people often see themselves in a more positive light than others, and that comes to light during a variety of personal and social judgments. Now there's different ways to look at it, and researchers have uncovered different kind of mechanisms. Some call it like a better than average effect or a superiority bias. This video we're going to focus primarily on the third person effect that is very close related to this. And this is an observation by Gunther and Mundy, a paper from the early 90s, and they said like it's a sentiment we often express. Most people believe anything they see in print, except that usually we don't include ourselves. So we assume that other people are gonna believe things while we're not gonna be persuaded. We are better than most other people. So social comparisons to self are usually automatically invoked during those social judgments, even when there's not necessarily a comparison obvious in what we're talking about. For instance, buy yours while it lasts. It's a very common phrase in advertising. Hurry up! There's a limited. It's a limited edition, or there's so many left. You have to hurry up and run to the store or order it online to make sure that you have it, because otherwise other people will do it. And basically that suggests that others will be persuaded by the advertising, and that they will buy things fast. And because other people are persuaded by the message, it means that you suddenly have to order quickly. And of course you're not influenced by the advertisement, no, because you're so much better than everything else, but you have to buy it quickly because all these other people are going to be convinced by the advertising. And we see this in news media bias perceptions as well. A lot of people think that news media are biased against their own point of view, especially when there are multiple points of view presented in a news article. All the other ones are considered illegitimate, and because the wrong side is portrayed, people assume that other people reading or getting exposed to that news media coverage are going to be persuaded, and persuaded in the wrong direction. We perceive others as less well informed and potentially vulnerable. That's sort of the idea behind this process, that other people are going to be persuaded by news media and then choose the wrong side. And that leads us to the definition of third-person perceptions. And it's the belief that others are actually or more influenced by a message themselves. And this is something that comes up in these processes as well. So people say it's good to be informed, but bad to be influenced. So you get exposed to news media. It's a good thing that you are paying attention to news media. You're up to date. You can talk to your friends or at the water cooler and know what's going on in the world. But you don't want to be influenced. So in essence, third-person perceptions are beliefs about media effects. Belief that the media will have effect on others, but not on you. And this has been studied in many different areas, and this is just a short overview, some of the examples. This is also studied in relation to a lot of different theories. We've seen attribution theory, we see ALM here. So there's a lot of different ways to look at this phenomenon. An interesting thing with third-person perceptions is that the farther the projection of the outgroup, the more global that group is, the more influence people think will be exerted on those groups. And going down, it will be less and less and less, because people are affiliated in smaller groups and they feel strongly connected to those, and then those groups belong to a larger group, which means that the self is a little bit less connected to those people. And so there are different layers within society. And Cohen and colleagues did a study like this in the 80s and looked at the ideas how other people are being persuaded by a message compared to self. And when people were asked, like, is the general public going to be influenced, the participants of these studies thought it was going to be highly influenceable. So, but on self, it's low influence. Stanford students, because the participants were Stanford students, not as much. But then Californians, which they all were, that had a little bit more influence, and then the general public would be highly influenced by this. But just the projection of the group size is not the only thing. This is a list of other variables that are involved in this process, to the extent that you are persuaded in the sense that you think that other people will be persuaded over you. In the next video, we're going to take a look at the motivational biases that could be considered mechanisms for this process.